Oh, hello everyone. This is Pseudo coming at you again, this time from very high up in the sky because, well, I wanted to try something stupid, I guess. So let's go ahead and kind of do that on our way down here. And that's a very high bounce, but I don't think it's out of range with what you would expect to have happen, I guess. And, well, yeah, that was a lot of fun. Maybe we'll have to do that again from a higher elevation and all the way down to bedrock at some point, because I just really like bouncing on those slime blocks. But yeah, today is another Minecraft episode, and I think that there's been a lot of really interesting things that have kind of happened here that I do want to take a brief moment to talk a little bit about, and that is in relation to, well, something that I was doing over the weekend that made things kind of interesting. And, well, let's just kind of talk about some of them. So the first thing is you can see here I've had a lot of really nice progress on our pit, and I should have this finished by this weekend. So I'm anticipating doing a time-lapse for our video on, what would that be, on Saturday. So to kind of showcase the finishing touches being made to that. I think the rest of the sand came down here, and it did. So let's go ahead and pick that up. And wanted to stop the bouncing there a little bit earlier. But yeah, let's walk over here and have a bit of a closer look at this pit. Now, we've come a really long way with it, and you're really starting to see the effect coming through. As a matter of fact, there's only a couple of layers left here, so we're going to have, so this is a layer of gray. Here we're going to have a layer of black, gray, and then one final layer of black that'll go on top, which will really help add to the contrast here. Now, there's a couple of spots that I'm still finishing out in this area, and I should hopefully have enough gray dye put together from our little flower farm here, which, again, I'm really happy about how well this has been working for us because, yeah, it's very quick and very efficient. One innovation that I might make to it at some point is altering this dispenser to the point where I can feed more bone meal into it as needed, but that's not a necessary innovation for as of current. But I do want to talk a little bit about one thing that I did this weekend because, well, I did a little bit of some AFKing, mainly because I've got this nice big furnace array down here in the basement, and you can see my shulker boxes are still up here, and that's because I went out and collected 9 shulker boxes worth of sand, which I then needed to turn into glass. And this should be the remainder of the glass that's needed to finish out filling that pit with a couple of alterations that need to be made. Let's go ahead and get some sleep in here to turn things back to day. Alright, now that we're fully rested, we can talk a little bit more about some things. So, the furnace array that I have here, it's not the most efficient, but it is kind of what I needed, at least to keep up with the general terms of what I was looking to do. And this will smelt up 9 chests full of sand in the span of about 5 hours, which takes a while. But that's kind of to be expected with how much glass does get smelted and how slow furnaces do generally tend to run. And to make sure that they run at their maximum efficiency, I do have some coal blocks powering them. But a couple of things happen when you AFK your server and the server that you yourself are on for a series of a couple of hours. Now let's go ahead and... I didn't mean to shoot you, bud. Okay, you need to die. And you need an apple, because that's just not okay. And of course I don't have any, so let's go buy some off of our villagers. Speaking of villagers, Oh dear, you are in really bad shape, aren't you, bud? Anyway, speaking of villagers, we've had a bit of a calamity here. Now, I think you saw in some of my previous episodes, we had a ton of iron golems running around, and you'll notice that they're now all absent, which is a little bit of a problem. So what I think happened is, and I've since done some repair work over here, but what I think happened is the iron golems, which I had probably about 15 of them hanging out in this general area, either here on the side of this home or over here along the backside, I think they aggroed onto a creeper. And that's not a good thing for an iron golem to do because they will lose that fight. But the fight took place a little bit too close to this side of the house that we had our librarians housed in, and it blew out this entire wall from this corner to about, well, just past the midsection, exposing a lot of the inside. Now, it wasn't enough to let mobs in, but if skeletons got on the backside of that, it was just, you know, chaos from there. And the inside is actually relatively unharmed. Though I think that their villagers could have leaked out here and then not had a way to get back into any shelter because, well, I thought that they were well enough protected, and it turns out that that's not the case. But I think I'm going to remodel this a little bit, and by remodel it, I think I'm going to strip down the wall components and build it out of obsidian because I don't want something like that to happen again. I can't afford for something like that to happen again. Let's go ahead and pick up a couple of apples for our horse back home. And that's a little bit unfortunate, all things considered. And I wish that there was more that I could have done to prevent that from being a thing or a problem. We've also not had a lot of luck with trying to curate some villagers here, and that's because I do have the difficulty set a little bit lower than what I ideally should or would. But another thing that I did want to note here is I've got a new little friend, and that is our little skeleton horse here, as he was just chilling outside the house a couple of nights ago. So I went ahead and, you know, saddled him up, brought him over here, and I think that this guy will actually help us quite a bit when hunting down the last little bit of ink that we need, as I can ride him underwater, and I've got my respiration helmet, which will just kind of facilitate the travel, all things considered. I'll probably take some time to level out the river areas, so it's a little more efficient. But it was kind of interesting because as I was looking for him, I approached and there was a lightning strike, and four more, well, not four more, but a total of 4 skeletons mounted on horseback were just kind of roaming around this area. Now, unfortunately, 3 of them did die in the process of me trying to capture them because those things are super rare. But in the fact that I witnessed more of them spawning in from a very close proximity just was kind of mind-boggling to me. But that's not the only thing that happens when you AFK your server for, 10 to 12 hours. The next thing that had happened is I woke up and, when I logged on or checked back in, I was not, in a sense, learned I should be facing into the corner this way whenever I'm AFKing the server, because as I woke up, just kind of sitting here like this, there was an Enderman standing right here in the room. Probably he had warped in during a rainstorm or something else, and it's very lucky that I wasn't, or he never walked directly into my field of view or right there on the crosshair, or I would have been very dead and I would have lost a lot of things, which is not good. Luckily, that wasn't the case. There were actually a couple of other Endermen hiding inside the house here, but all in a good day's work, I suppose. Let's go ahead and bring these apples over to our good friend here, and I don't have a name for him. Let's see, you probably need about 1 more of these, don't you? There we go. Now you're all better. And yeah, it just wasn't a good spot to be in, as I could have very easily lost a lot of progress and other things. But actually, the last thing that I'd noticed that had kind of happened and made me chuckle a little bit is once upon a time I built this room downstairs. And this was meant to be kind of an impromptu area to harvest some mushrooms. And they are growing a little bit. So we have, I think at one point there were 20 of them in here, and now we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. So there has been an increase in mushrooms, but you'll also notice that there is netherrack everywhere. And it's missing out of the nice little areas and holes in the wall that I placed, because I really wanted this to be a nice little aesthetic area, specifically kind of reminiscent of the nether where I got the mushrooms from. And that just didn't happen, which is really unfortunate, because I really liked the way that this room came together, but I'm probably going to end up scrapping this whole area and turning it into something else, because it's just apparently a place that Endermen come in and just hang out, and I don't like that, because they mess everything up when they do. And then, of course, we've got our little testing area here where we had worked out the schematics for the flower clock that we've got going on. But yeah, that was kind of what I had in mind, was just kind of giving you kind of an update and caution to not AFK your server if you're the only one on it, if there are things that you care about that you don't have decently protected. Because now I've got to start over with housing my villagers and building up my librarians again, which is always fun. Now, one positive to AFKing the server for a night is we've got this much sugarcane in the overall collection chest and a full double chest of sugarcane from our little farm here. Is it the most efficient farm? No. Is it the farm design that I chose to go with? Yes. Have I modified some of the design aspects of it to suit my needs or my desires with it? Absolutely. And at some point, I will probably revisit this to either make it taller or more efficient on observers, because there's not that many observers is just not necessary for the amount of sugarcane that we have here. And especially if we do go to take it taller, we can really kind of optimize the amount of sugarcane that we are making use of. And yeah, it's a little unfortunate, some of the setbacks that we've had, but I think in one of my episodes upcoming here, we're going to take on one of the areas of the game that we haven't really looked at yet, and I'm thinking about doing an ocean monument, because I haven't really done anything related to that. And come to think of it, just to kind of make sure that we are ready to go for that when we do eventually make that decision, let's find this guy who will sell us some golden carrots, because we're going to need those, because I've heard that one of the best ways to raid an ocean monument is to have yourself some potions of invisibility. And there's a really nice way that you can go about doing that with golden carrots, because golden carrots, if you're unaware, are the catalyst for making potions of night vision. Now, I know what you're thinking. You don't want a potion of night vision to go raiding an underwater temple, and that's right. So let's go ahead and get ourselves some bottles here. I didn't mean to stick those in that chest, but we need to go fill these with water before it gets too dark outside. Actually, I might actually have a bucket of water in my chest down here, and I do. So let's just take that back upstairs to our cauldron, because supposedly this is, or there's already water in here. So let's fill these up and bring them over here so you can see what I'm doing here. So let's go ahead and go with another blaze powder, because we're probably going to need it. Put the blaze powder up here, put the water in here, and go ahead and set some nether wart. Now, while that's running, we'll want to grab this brown mushroom and this spider eye, and we'll want to go downstairs and grab some sugar, because that is what's needed to make a fermented spider eye. And I don't think that I have any sugar on hand, so let's just grab one of these sugar canes. And I know I didn't need to do that on a crafting table, but it was what was nearby and kind of made sense to me. So now that we've got our sugar, we can come over here, and now that we've got our awkwardness potion, we can now put a golden carrot in to work with this as well. And while that golden carrot is distilling into the awkwardness potion, we can open up our own little inventory here and put together a mushroom, a spider eye, and a sugar to create a fermented spider eye. And what a fermented spider eye is going to do for us is it's going to invert the effect of this potion, the golden carrot, which gives us night vision. And as we distill that into the potion of night vision, it will inverse the effect. And what that effectively does is it allows it to change from a potion of night vision into a potion of invisibility. And that will be really what helps us out a lot when it comes to raiding an underwater fortress, or a and that will really help us when it comes to raiding a guardian temple. Now, 3 minutes of invisibility is pretty good, but if you then take some redstone dust and distill it into the potion, you can then extend the duration and turn this into 8-minute potions of invisibility. Now, there's a couple of reasons that I'd want to go raiding on a fortress underwater. One is so I can get my hands on some prismarine to make myself a conduit, as that's going to be nice. And now we've got our potion of invisibility for 8 minutes. And the other is I'd like to get some sponges for just different projects that we might want to embark on. And the third is, well, once we have the location settled of an underwater temple, we can then go ahead and look into setting it up as some type of farm. So we can then get increased amounts of prismarine and other good things there. So let's go ahead and, yeah, my life is doing pretty well. Let's see if, real quick before we end today's episode, we can find ourselves a guardian temple and take down the coordinates thereof. So let's place down our shulker box filled with various flight duration rockets. And I know that flight duration 1 is the best for overall control, but when you're traversing large areas, I've just found it widely beneficial to use rockets with higher flight duration. So let's go ahead and get ourselves worked up here. And we might want to go ahead and put together some potions of water breathing as well before we take that on. Or I actually think I can get away with doing some underwater raiding with my helmet on. Alright, so after some adventuring, I have not only found a guardian temple, but I found, I think, the coolest place for a guardian temple. Pun definitely intended. And just like that, I get some mining fatigue. But that's okay, because we're not here to actually raid this place, because we've got to get ourselves the location and the coordinates for it down. And yeah, I mean, I don't think that they prefer frigid waters, if you can say that, but we can certainly get ourselves enough prismarine put together from here, as well as, you know, just overall making sure that we can pick up some nice things from this spot. So that's going to do it for today. I've got to fly home, but I hope that you enjoyed kind of the insight here for today's episode. And as I slide around on this iceberg, I'll take a moment to check and see if you're subscribed to the channel. If you're not, please take a moment and do so, as I bring videos to you every single day. Though they're not all Minecraft videos, they are from a couple of different video types. And I hope that you, enjoy the stuff that I do create, as I try to keep it varied and entertaining. But thanks again for your time, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. Bye-bye.